This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Rumba! All right, what would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up or walk out on me? Well, I hope you're here today. I hope we have an audience. We're here to answer your questions during the show. This is Dr. Newton, and with my capable and intelligent engineer, Rebel Meddler. Today's topic, one of them, I never have one. Today's topic is entering the realm of physical immortality. Is it possible, or is it mere lunacy? So I was just getting rid of some, lowering the background noise here. So it's very interesting. I'm going to be covering my book, The Immortality Prophecy, and I also wrote another book about this. It's The Immortality Prophecy is a nonfiction book full of scientific information that I've culled from the far reaches of the universe. And In Search of the Body Immortal is a novel about it. It's easier to read. People have complained that the Immortality Prophecy is too hard to read. I can say it's not exactly the easiest read, but you should see all the scientific things I had to muddle through, that I had to wade through. I had to crawl through the mud to get this stuff and then synthesize it down and make it easier to understand. So just realize that I go out of my way to do that. All of my books are available on Amazon, and most of them are available on my website, which I think is on my web page for the show here. So also, though, I wanted to talk about the economy, because if Rebel's been with me for several years, and she knows what I talk about, and she knows that what I'm going to talk about, I've talked about before. But when I was talking about it before, I was talking about the vibrant Trump economy, where families were getting like over $8,000 more a year in wages, and at 2% inflation. And right now it's about 2% wage increase and about 8% inflation, or at least 7%. And to tell you the truth, these people at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they jiggle the numbers, especially the Biden administration, because they're promoting an agenda of the cuckoo birds. Cuckoo, cuckoo. I will explain why, without just making wild claims. Although I guess I could do that too if you want. So let me get some light here. This is an article in the Hillsdale College publication called Imprints. I'm just going to summarize it because I have a lot to cover in my book, The Immortality Prophecy. He has an MA in business. He was the CEO of CKE Enterprises, which is Carl's Jr., and Hardee's, which is, I think, possibly is the second biggest fast food chain next to McDonald's. Or I was going to say something bad about the food, but you might like it, so I'll shut the F up. So anyway, basically what he is saying here, all is true. Basically, during the Trump era, let's see if you can see this graph. Okay, here's this graph. It's going to be hard to see, but just to let you know that this isn't something from my vivid imagination. It basically shows that under the Trump administration, the wages went up while inflation was anywhere from about 2.5 to about even less. There was one period there on 4 April 20 where it was hell, it was less than half a percent by looking at the dip. And under the Biden administration, it's you can see that inflation is vastly outpacing what you're making in wage gains. So I know you all know that, except that what you don't know, maybe what you don't know, is when you bought all that baloney. Some of you probably bought this baloney about Build Back Better, but no one ever told you what it was. And it was basically taking you into a controlled economy, which you can equate with socialism and communism. You can call it progressivism. They use all manner of new terms to cover up what they're really doing, because they know that you would many of you were rejected summarily if you really knew what it was. So they use things like that, and then they use things like environmental social governance, which is basically making the environment first and the lives of the people second and very last. All right. And the control of the government first and the rights of the people so far down, it's more than second. It's last, but it's in every way, shape, and form, they're trying to control things and at the same time lower your standard of living. And they act like, oh yeah, we passed the Build Back Better deal, but they don't tell you that the infrastructure bill, but they don't tell you that 9/10 of that money doesn't even go to infrastructure, and not one of those infrastructure projects is broken ground. So you can talk and you can squawk, but if you don't produce, then you're more like a constipated moose, maybe. And so I just wanted to read a couple things from here because I'm excited. I want you to know what's going on. I'm an independent. I can't hardly stand any of the Republicans or the Democrats, and I voted at least twice for Dr. Ron Paul in the Libertarian Party for presidential election because I couldn't. And I also voted for Ross Perot, who was a great man. I might do a show on Ross Perot, or at least we should cover him more. So here's something from Andrew Putzer. When Biden spoke during the campaign about transforming America, he meant it. The goal animating current policy is not the goal of creating widespread prosperity by the means of a dynamic and productive economy, which what we did have under Trump. I don't care if you don't like him. I don't especially like him. I don't give a flying flapjack less whether I like him. I only judge people on what the hell they can do. And he did what he promised and more so. That's my adding so. So the goal animating current policy is a transformation of America's economy and our way of life in accordance with the leftist political agenda, using so-called emergencies like climate change as a rationale. And so for sure, this has been going on. This climate change has been going on for a long time. That was dreamed up by the Club of Rome in 1985 as a way to get more money for the United Nations. And Rebel, you might remember me covering that, but then if you don't, that's okay, because I've covered a lot of things. So in 1990, I came across a video from a friend of mine, a woman I knew from a conference in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm trying to think of the name of it. And so she asked me if I wanted to go 50-50s on this video about the climate. And I said, sure. And I went over to see it at her house. She gave me a copy of it, so I have my own copy. And as we were going through it, it was like blowing my mind. This guy, his name is, he's not alive anymore. Oh crap, I can't think of his name. But his basic thesis is that the winter wheat season was getting shorter, as you could tell by looking at the climate data, um, and then so he could tell that by this means that the climate that we were going into an ice age. Okay, this man had 46 patents. I'm seeing his face right now. If you're psychic, maybe you can pick up what he looks like. But he wasn't a very exciting person. He was very he seemed to almost be unconnected to his heart, but he was very connected to his brain and to the Akasha, the information that is talked about in the Vedas and the Upanishads. It's stored in the skies, or in the I call it the atomic field. So this has been going on and they keep pushing it. Now they're just getting ridiculous about it. Now, even though that the data shows, and there was a NASA scientist that I covered on another show I did before I went on a long sabbatical for this show, that talked about there was he would, the only reason he could share this information is because he was retired, that there was definite information that showed we were going into an ice age. So right now we're in past that date that he talked about. And as I look at things, I believe it is. So you can say, oh, no, au contraire, it's getting hotter in the summer. Sometimes it does. That's called what I call the refrigerator effect. The hotter it gets, the colder it can get. And during an ice age, why the winters will be brutal, the summers may be even hotter, but you're going to have a big problem growing enough food to sustain humanity. Unless, of course, you want to eat the bugs, which is another one of their agenda. We're trying to get rid of the cattle herds. Right now, they're trying to get rid of them in Amsterdam, Holland. And I don't know if the people are going to put up with that excrement, but I know I the hell wouldn't. I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian or pescatarian, which means I eat fish. But I'm not a control freak. I don't have to control what other people eat. And that's part of free will. And these people in the Biden administration want you to have no free will. They've made many, many things crimes, like free speech is all of a sudden is hate speech. There's no such thing as hate speech in the land of free speech. Speech is either free and unfettered or it's controlled. Once you start controlling it a little bit, it'll get controlled a lot of it. And judging by the actions of the FBI and Merrick Garland, who's one of the most diabolical men I've ever seen, and really, okay, I could say a lot more. I'm not going to. I'm going to censor myself because I need to be nice. Because we need to learn to get together with each other. But I don't know that I could ever learn to get together with someone that lies 24/7. In fact, I know I couldn't, and I know I wouldn't. And I hope you wouldn't either. I hope you rebel against this baloney. Okay, let's see if there's one more thing that he talked about here that we should look at. Well, basically, I can tell you with what they want to create, is a communist economy. Now, my wife just had three relatives that just came here from Cuba, and they can tell you how well communism works. It works so good that the people are in a state of hunger most of the time. They don't have enough electricity. They have rolling blackouts on their electricity. They can't say anything against the government or they'll wind up in a jail. And usually they don't even get to go to court, which probably wouldn't save them anyway because everything's controlled there against you. They just let you rot in a jail cell till they decide to let you out, if in fact they do. And the same thing, let's look what happened to the Soviet Union. This was a huge country, a huge, powerful country, and it imploded upon itself. And the reason that happened is because there were too few people producing goods and services, and too many people getting welfare of sorts from the government, food, medicine, health care, whatever.
Why are they doing that to our country now? Why is all the other countries trying to be us, and we're trying to be like communist countries that don't work.
You answered the question for me. I mean, that's a big rhetorical question. Okay, I'll take a stab at it. Uh, since the inception of this experiment, and this was an experiment, I've been watching all things about the Revolutionary War and George Washington and his travails against the British, how he was outmanned and yet still managed to win. But we wouldn't have won without the help from um, from France. I'm trying to think of that Frenchman that came over that helped us, but was Benjamin Franklin was instrumental in doing that. Ever since that this experiment has been set up, and it's not a perfect form of government. The perfect form of government is found in the anarchy of nature. All you have to do is look at it. There's not even an established government, and it runs damn good. And here we have established governments, and it runs damn bad, real damn bad, real damn bad. So there's this probably goes Rebel. This probably goes back to the banking cartel, that the Rothschild's banking system, which the Rockefellers and are in and everything. It seems that they want to control everything, and it isn't it astonishing? I ask, isn't it astonishing that billionaires who made their money in a free enterprise system? That's not capitalism. That's what bullcrap that was made up by Karl Marx in the Communist Manifesto describing our economy. The free enterprise system creates wealth. It gives the opportunity for anyone, any race, any gender to be able to get ahead. Okay, if you put enough effort into it, you will succeed. And like you said, everyone's trying to get into this country. About 8 million illegals so far, I think, and counting. Um, obviously it's better in their eyes from outside observers than from the inside observers and the left and the woke people that all they do is demonize what we have here, and yet they benefited by the free enterprise system. Some people are just too frickin' stupid to even have a dialogue with, to even interact with. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. The next thing we have is, why is it that everybody else from other countries can come into our country, get free money, not have to pay it back, and build businesses, and yet when you are an American citizen born here, you have to pull your hair out, pull your teeth out just to get ahead?
Yeah, that is diabolical. It is ironic and diabolical. I agree with you. It's so screwed up. It's stunning. Yeah, they're putting in New York City. I don't know if you heard about this, but they evicted homeless veterans from this hotel. That they finally got them off the streets, and and they put them back on the streets, and they put illegal aliens in the hotels. Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that. That is a travesty of justice. These people serve our country, and yet we turn them out after everything they did for keeping us what they tell us is a free country.
Yeah, well, all those missions they went on really weren't necessary, but we have endless war. I watched this thing. I didn't intend to watch it. I got pulled into it. I watched the Wonder Woman movie last afternoon, and I don't hardly watch anything in the afternoon because I have too much things to do. Too many my lapidary work, cutting and polishing stones, and working on repairing things, and tending my organic garden and my organic landscape. And uh, I really recommend people watch that movie. I'm gonna even watch it again. Um, and you know what else? What really made me excited? It showed the power of a woman. A woman, uh, Wonder Woman, to wit, transformed the earth, and in a um, in a campaign to end all war and everything. She grew up on a place in the Amazon, isolated from this, living with women only, and learning the feminine ways. It was really excited me that woman was finally the hero, because in my book that I just finished and I'm getting ready to publish, the uh, in search of the real Mary Magdalene, from prostitute to apostle of the apostles. And in fact, there is data to substantiate what I claimed, even though I wrote it as a novel, because it's just too little information. I, 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 I dug up stuff here and there that really made sense to me, including the gospel of the Sophia Jesus Christ, which again shows the power of the woman and shows the power of not only of the masculine God, but the female God, the Sophia God, that is actually part of the creative process. And here all this time, a bunch of dumbass men thought that they were superior to these inferior women, and au contraire, otherwise is the case. All right. So is there any more questions in regard to that?
Not at this moment.
Okay. All right. I'm going into my book now. Oh, by the way, this is my cool pendant. It is either Chrysocolla or turquoise, and I think it might be turquoise because those brown spots are Royston. Or this is called Royston. Could be called Royston. Royston turquoise. And if you like this, it's available for $59, including shipping and handling in the continental United States. Go to my PayPal page. Or you can go to my website and order it from there. Just put, I want the Royston turquoise pendant. Okay. The beauty of this is that not only is it pretty, but it has copper in it, and copper is a physioactive metal, which means it has electricity. It has electrical charge to it, and that, in sense, it keeps the body charged up, keeps the pranic fields in the body charged up, as also does which also does this big quartz crystal that I have here, that's been infused with titanium gas that gives it the cool color to it, the iridescence, because it doesn't come that, quartz doesn't come that way naturally. So, all right, let's get into, oh, I got the wrong book. I have In the Shadow of a Master book about Jesus. We'll be going into that. Okay, so I'm going to give you some insights into what's possible that would be some of the first steps toward immortality. Okay, so it's chapter 6. If we stop eating food, will we really be putting our body in a fix? So we need to keep our chopsticks. Every chapter in this book I rhymed. Okay, so here's a poem I started out with. We all have been taught food is a must. If we do not eat it, we will return to dust. Yet when we look into what food itself really is, it is essentially the energy therefrom that gives us the fizz. We know that food supplies us with power, but what about prana? It is it too an energy shower? If there is no food, the breatharian practitioner learns not to cower. If there be no food, they are not disempowered. So we'll be going into breatharianism, which is basically living without eating food, or very, very, very little. Okay. Part of the state, so this is from my chapter 6, my writing. Part of the entering the state of immortalizing the body is that it no longer needs food to sustain the energy light body. In fact, we all are already a body of energy and light. However, due to the programs in our minds, and which I would say have been foisted upon us from the powers that be. We believe we are dense matter and will perish without food. In fact, there are many people who are fanatic about eating food to keep their bodies fueled and maintaining their blood sugar glucose levels. We look to the consideration of adenotriphosphate, which is ADP, an important organic compound in metabolism, which is fundamental to the flow of energy in living cells. Okay, so, and creates adenotriphosphate, ATP, which in turn creates energy from the food we consume. Perhaps the more important question is whether we can metabolize energy from air, water, light, and fire we are surrounded by and literally comprised therefrom. Looking carefully at figure 13, where is figure 13? I guess it's this picture of Babaji Nagaraj, who was born in 205 AD, went into Sarupa Samadhi, a state of complete immortalized state in India in 219 AD, at the age of 14. Precocious, isn't he? Well, he had many lifetimes to get to that state. He didn't do it in one fell swoop. Have you ever noticed the pictures of Jesus, Saint Germain, Krishna, Rama, Babaji Nagaraj, who I just showed you, and Buddha? There is usually this band of light above the head of these personages and often around the body too. This is commonly known as an aura, which is the real energy essence of a body. Then you might know that when a body dies and the soul makes a transition to another dimension, there is not an aura displayed around that body unless said body is in a state of super suspension, such as was the body of Mary Baker Eddy, author of Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, and Paramahansa Yogananda, the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship. Their bodies did not deteriorate even after 9 months after they passed on, which would indicate an aura thereabout, which is just how the body of Paramahansa Yogananda was described by those who viewed it, basically surrounded by light or an aura. Kriya Kundalini Yoga Sat Guru Babaji Nagaraj, who I just showed you. And by the way, I need to give attribution. Yogini Ashram gave me the permission to show this picture of Babaji Nagaraj. So I always want to give credit to those who have helped me. Let's see. Okay, Kriya Kundalini Yoga Sat Guru Babaji Nagaraj, established in Sarupa Samadhi since 219 AD, means he entered a breathless state of bliss, needing neither food nor breath to remain in a state of bodily immortality. What I propose here is that no body can be sustained without this auric field surrounding it. This represents auric energy or etheric energy, which is electromagnetic energy that can be measured with an electrometer or a very sensitive voltmeter and dowsing rods also. The electromagnetic energy is comprised of atoms with their positive or plus and negative or minus electrical charges, and this said electrical energy, known also as prana, chi, orgone, ka, ba, or eleptic energy. Energy is what the human body is comprised of and powered by much more so than food. So powered by much more so than food we eat that we believe nutrifies us. What if it was possible just to live on prana or chi irrespective of food intake? It is, and in fact it is, and it is being done as you read this. Oh, Okay, for FYI, why I'm reading this, it's being done. All right, little levity there. Hey, by the way, sea monsters eat fish and ships, not chips, ships. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Okay. What if it was possible just to live on prana or chi irrespective of food intake? Uh, what has been previously covered in this book is the key to such, including Kriya Kundalini Pranayama, the Tai Chi standing meditation, Qigong, Sanskrit mantras, the 72 names of God, sunbathing and sun gazing are precise ways to infuse a body with more prana and chi. I first discussed this in my book, A Map to Healing. I have an updated version of it. I don't know. Maybe Rebel will put that up for us. It's not out yet. You can get the other version from me, from my website, or from Amazon. I must warn you, it has lots of capital letters in it. I had no way, shape, or form knew at the time I did this that the king and queen of the Dunecoffs attributed using capital letters to yelling. This is the most. Okay, be nice, Robert. This is a very arbitrary, ludicrous assignation of such. Anyway, and the editing was horrible to wit. I did this book with Balboa Press. They should have told me about this, but no, they didn't. They just wanted my money. Yeah, and I just want to badmouth them because they don't do the job for people. Anyway, in his documentary, In the Beginning There Was Light, Peter Arthur Straubinger, which I think I had him on this show, Solution Revolution Rebel, but I'm not positive. It might have been on my another show I did. Anyway, Peter Arthur Straubinger filmed 2 breatharians in a hospital setting with 24-hour closed-circuit TV monitoring, with each participant being hooked up to medical monitors. It was clearly revealed it was possible to live vibrantly, not just languish, in a condition of no food. So let me say that again. It was possible to live vibrantly, not just languish or just, kind of exist, come see, come saw, in a condition of no food or water intake for a period of 2 weeks. So that's pretty damn significant. One participant was certified to not have eaten in 70 years and the other not eating for 7 years. Vital sign measurements were taken both before and after the 2-week period, and to the astonishment of the medical personnel who supervised the study in a hospital. So they were astonished that they couldn't believe. There was no, and many of them, I'm getting ahead of myself. There was no degeneration in either subject in a hospital, in either subject. Before this test, the medical personnel were derisively proclaiming how these 2 men would be very adversely affected by their ordeal. Afterward, they were dumbfounded when the opposite occurred. Not only was no degeneration experienced by either men's bodies, they were in a state of complete health. So no degeneration and in a state of complete health. It is being suggested that right away the readers of this, the readers of this book immediately become. Is it being suggested right away that readers of this book immediately become breatharians? Emphatically no, absolutely not, and not because it cannot be done, but rather we must first change the programming in our brain, mind, personal computer, which are all one and the same thing, so that we are not working against ourselves with some manner of subconscious interference or self-sabotage, which is exactly what will happen. If you believe that you have to have food to exist, the subconscious mind will manifest that condition for you reliably, which means, yeah, it's going to happen. And there ain't diddly squat you can do about it until you change the programming in the brain mind, which is a big computer, as is covered in the book Information Theory, Evolution, and the Origin of Life. So remember, we have been programmed our entire lives. We need to eat to survive on planet. We have been programmed our entire lives that we need to eat to survive on planet Earth. Earlier in this treatise, we discussed mind reprogramming, and I might go over that next week, but I don't even think I'm going to get through this chapter this week. First, you would need to eliminate the beliefs from your mind. You need food and water to sustain yourself. This is crucial, and yet it is a pervasive belief on planet Earth. It affects us unless we have expunged the idea and replaced our belief with something that allows us to reach our goal, specifically that we can thrive without food. So I refer to you once again to a map to healing and your essential divinity through theta consciousness for directions in the ray or in the matter of mind reprogramming, chapter 4 therein. And I lay it out. That alone, that formula that I found hidden in the 72 names of God from Exodus 14, verses 19 to 21 of the Torah, is worth, it's priceless in value. It's priceless. You will be able to move mountains using this, much like Mary Baker Eddy did. And what I learned from her in Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. You should read that book too. If you're a Christian, you need to rip down the wall around your belief system so you can go out and look at things. It stuns me how the Christian church establishment has paralyzed and denigrated the potential of what we as people are possible of. That's just, I'm editorializing now. The next part of this journey is to look into the medical contraindications to breatharianism. I also caution you that the process should never be undertaken without the advice of a qualified doctor. Yet, unfortunately, the problem remains there are probably very few, if any, doctors that I would know. And I'm going to add Dr. Janie Lloyd. I may have her on the show. She knows a lot about immortality, too. She's a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of natural medicine. Okay, so if there are probably very few, if any, doctors who would ever advise venturing down the path of breatharianism, so you might need to make this decision yourself. Remember, it is essential to reprogram your own mind. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it is essential. And for me personally, I unprogram myself from the hunger signal. So I could give a flying flapjack less whether I eat or not. And I'm not, and if there's a famine, I'm still going to thrive. I'm prepared for it. So I believe that these people that want to establish this environmental social government, they do want to vastly cut down the Earth's population from 8 billion people to 1 or 2 billion. And yet they're going to live like kings and queens, and you're going to be eating worms and bugs. And just by the way, I would caution you against eating bugs. I did some research. When I heard about this right away, the big alarm went off in my mind. And so I did some research, and I found out that these bugs that they want you to eat, they have enzymes in them that are toxic to other bugs so that they won't get eaten by them. And they're also toxic to humans. So, and I have my great doubts about the lab grown meat too. Uh, I could do a program on that. I need feedback from the listeners so that I can know in what direction to go
We
because
have a question.
yes,
Can the body process grass? And they don't mean
I know.
smokable grass.
Not cannabis, right? It's difficult because it has a lot of cellulose. But wheatgrass juice, when you juice it, or barley grass juice is exceedingly nutrifying, but due to the cellulose and has a lot of chlorophyll, which I'm either going to be talking about today or tomorrow. How many? I only have what 9 minutes. Holy crap! Yeah. All right. So. So it is essential to reprogram your own mind or engage the services of a highly experienced hypnotherapist, data healer, data consciousness, reprogramming practitioner, etc. I'm the last two, I have certifications in that, and you must take responsibility for such. I wish our societies did not put us in a legal peril, peril for all this are statements, but c'est la vie. Such are the perils of the Uniform Commercial Code and the onerous admiralty law that comes therewith. That's where it came from. And we are much better off under the common law. I can do another show on that. And I've also created a form that costs about $100 that will get you out of the Uniform Commercial Code legally and make
Will
you a
it get
free.
you out of martial law?
Yeah, well, technically, yeah. But he who holds the biggest guns is he who controls things, right, Rebel? So,
That does seem to be the case, law of
yeah,
tonnage.
yeah. My gun. I look at my guns that I have, or might have, the guns that I might have, and then I look at the sophisticated weapons that they have that can shoot a bullet that can go and make a 90-degree turn and hit a target behind a wall where you take cover, where we used to take cover in the Army and we knew we were secure. So, or a 3 trillion watt laser or particle beam weapon, It's like uh, it's like trying to slay Goliath with a BB gun.
There's, there's no winning in this.
Thank you so much. I so enjoy your narrative, your question. Okay, so the following is a valuable research which allows us to make the move into breatharian and reprogram our minds to accept such. In the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Dr. Paul Webb and his associates published a studies in calometry, which means a study of measuring caloric energy, which indicated 23% of the energy powering a human body came from non-food or non-caloric sources. Dr. Webb also investigated 52 other studies related to this subject and found the same results occurred consistently. Webb's breakthrough contradicted the findings of Antoine Lavoisier, Rene Descartes, and Atwater and Benedict, which claim the body works like an inorganic machine, where the amount of calories to the body would need to be predicted, when in fact, okay, so that works like the body is an inorganic machine where the amount of calories would need to be would would need and could be predicted, when in fact there has never been any standard formula for their premise, which has been uh, discovered so far. So what I mean is they just threw out a theory with no proof, and global warming is a theory with no proof, and evolution is a theory with with no proof either. I can do shows on any of that stuff. I could talk for hours about any of these things, and not be diminished. Wouldn't need food, maybe a little bit of water, and that's all I would need. And maybe do a little European. We next look at Durnan and others and Dr. William Riggins in The Myth of the Calorie, whose findings confirmed those of Dr. Webb, revealing the body was at least partly maintained by energy from outside the body, beyond that produced by the energy of food. We inquire, could that outside body energy source be prana, chi, God life force, which are one and the same thing? Is this energy electromagnetic energy? Does this energy come from our soul? And I would say yes. Let's further investigate. Can prana or chi solely power the body? In fact, let's take it so far as to ask, is it possible all the energy that powers the body could come from non-caloric sources? Let's use an analogy from other organic sources such as trees and plants. So trees and plants regularly take sunlight and turn it into chlorophyll via the process of photosynthesis through sunlight interacting with water in the tree leaves in conjunction with the element or the mineral iron. The chlorophyll is the food, and yet the tree does not have to eat to become nourished. Rather, there is a chemical reaction between light and water and iron to create nourishing chlorophyll, which is moved vascularly through the tissues of the tree. And this is literally true. There are the veins of the trees are like the veins that move our blood, and they go all up and down throughout the tree. And that's how the tree stays alive. What factor or force then would prevent a human body from taking the energy of the sun, or Agna and Yagna, which is light and the fire, or the same things generated during Kriya Kundalini Pranayam, which I teach in workshops, and converting that into a human chlorophyll of sorts and powering the body therefrom? Before summarily dismissing this notion, keep in mind this process of nutrification has already been formulated as an operating system by the Creator for trees and plants. And just because a human has a mouth which can masticate food does not preempt a photosynthesis of sorts for humans. Lo and behold, in a number of articles by Herrera and his associates posted by Dr. Gerald Pollack, in fact, there is scientific proof of a process similar to plant photosynthesis that occurs within the body of humans. Go figure. This happens in two ways as related by Dr. Gerald Pollack. The first being how the melanin, not melatonin, in a human body reacts with sunlight to produce an electrical reaction in the body to stimulate energy therein. The other way is when sunlight interacts with water inside our bodies, which there is ample amounts totaling about 65%, the main element of the human body. This interaction of sunlight and even prana with water and magnesium and creates what is called easy water, also recognized as H3O2. So 3 molecules of hydrogen instead of 2, and 2 molecules of oxygen instead of 1. And this in turn creates an alkaline condition in the body, which creates an energy like an alkaline battery and draws on its own natural plus and negative charges through circulating energy, electricity. This seems to be the source that allows ATP, or adenyl triphosphate, to be created and then fuel our bodies. This process is called oxidative phosphorylation, and I will say versus caloric phosphorylation.
Dr. Newton.
I know. We're done. Okay. Oh, do you have a question?
No, we are out of time. We have educated everyone. We would like to tell everyone again where to get your books.
Okay, you can get them on my website, www.drrobertnewton.com. robertjnewton.com, or is it robertjnewton.com, and also at Amazon. So thanks for listening, and I will continue this next week because I only got halfway through this chapter. And I would very much like your feedback and stuff on this, even if you watch it on archive. Okay. Namaste, namaskar, shalom, salam alaikum.